I call this meeting to order. Good afternoon. I'm Isidoro Nieto, President of the Weslaco ISD Board of Trustees. Please let the minutes reflect that the notice of this board meeting has been posted online in accordance with the law as permitted by the suspended portion of the Texas Open Meeting Act as permitted by Governor Abbott. Although a quorum trustees are not gathered in a central physical location, we do have a quorum of trustees in attendance at this meeting by video conference or telephone call. The board is meeting by the use of the platform Google Hangout and telephone transmission, which allows two-way communication for members of the public during the public comments portion of the agenda. This meeting is being recorded and will be made available to the public in accordance with the law. As we would at any in-person meeting, members of the public who have followed the instructions on the meeting notice for registering to speak during the public comment portion of the agenda will be called at the telephone number they have provided. All other board meeting procedures will adhere to board adopted procedures to the extent practical. Today is July 28th, and the time is 12:05. I will now call the name of each trustee to determine if that person is present by telephone or video conference. Mr. Kennedy?
I am present by video conference.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Here, Coach.
Okay. Mr. Erasmo Lopez?
I'm here, video conference.
Coach Cuellar?
Here by video conference.
And Mr. Nieto, so we have a quorum present today. Dr. Rivera and Dr. Jaime Rodriguez couldn't attend yet, but if they do attend, I will acknowledge it. Item number 3, public comments. We don't have any public comments today. Item 4, discussion and possible action for the board to consider approval of the purchase of technology, equipment, supplies, and other items for online learning. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, good afternoon, everybody. We've been having committees meet throughout the summer, debriefing the remote experience for the spring 2020, and looking at what our teachers need in terms of tools for remote learning as well as students. We did have the Teaching and Learning Design Continuum Committee who helped provide feedback. It's been vetted through various people about what exactly do we need to start strong. And we know that we're starting our school year remotely. And per our county and our city orders, there is no on-campus instruction until after September the 27th. So before you, we present the first item on the agenda, this special public agenda. It is the only item, and that is for the approval of technology, equipment, supplies, and other items to support online learning. And it's listed below. There is a list of items, everything from a online platform to Zoom video conferencing licenses for our teachers to facilitate learning for students remotely. We have things on there like teacher headsets with mic to support remote learning, and student headsets with a mic to support students at home who may have brothers and sisters who are also learning remotely. So the mics and the headphones will help. We have teacher laptops that we need. We have some touchscreen Chromebooks on the list that will be piloted. Some of our teachers talked about those likely being powerful resources, but we wanted to try them out as a pilot before we have discussions about full scale. And we have some reading platforms. So I do have staff here to answer any questions. Some of the items are sole source. Some of them our TA is allowing purchases through the regional service centers. So our recommendation is that you approve purchase for technology, equipment, supplies, and other items for online learning as listed below. And we're here to answer any questions you may have about it.
Where will this come from in the budget?
Mr. Kennedy, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Andres. Good to see you.
We'll have to move money around between Function 11 accounts. Some of it is payroll, and some of the items that we have.
So we can cover it without taking on.
Yes, without taking from fund balance, yes.
Okay. I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Kennedy and a second by Mr. Gonzalez to approve the purchases for technology equipment, supplies, and other items for online learning listed below, or which we discussed. Any other discussion?
Yes. Andres,
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez?
did the technology grant where the state matches?
Ask me the question again.
I said, will this be part of that technology grant?
No, the one about the 50% matches is for orders placed through the state.
Okay.
We didn't want to go put them in there because those items are not expected to arrive before school start. A lot of the items in the survey, they mentioned they will be coming in October, November. There's another reimbursement part that they have. They haven't given all the details yet for items that we purchased before. So we bought some laptops already. We want to put this in and the hotspots as much as we can to try to qualify them through there. And there's also another fund on the coronavirus relief fund. They mentioned that we could buy different learning items. They were trying to expand the date to be expanded to now. We should be able to get at least 75% of the cost through there. So there's a couple of options. Not all the details are available yet, but we're working on that.
Okay, sounds great. We just want to make sure that we get those grants that are available to us, whether it's before or after the fact. At least we know we'll recuperate some of that money. Thank you for all y'all hard work.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
One more question was, Ivan, are we good on with the purchasing of the sole source equipment?
Well, we are if we have the backup information. Typically, we would get a sole source letter from the vendor.
It is included.
Okay.
It's included on the packet.
And it's a small amount.
All right. Coach Cuellar, any comments or any other discussion on this item?
And by going with this decision today, we're going to ensure that we have this equipment available when school starts.
Dr. Canales or Andres?
Yes, there's, I believe, one item that is still iffy, but most of them are supposed to get here around by August, around the time the school starts.
Okay, good. Mr. Lopez?
Yes, Dr. Canales, did the teachers and I guess all our computer specialists, principals, and everybody have input on the merchandise that we're purchasing so that we are on the cutting edge or as best or better than anybody else to educate our students?
Right. This list, Mr. Lopez, probably doesn't include some cutting edge items. It was when we did meet with the teaching and learning design continuum. It's what do we need to start strong. There's probably a lot of other items that we are going to look at for the future. We continue remote, but there was feedback provided about each of these items. So, and it was various layers. I can, Mr. Aguilar, if you'd like to talk about the teaching and learning design continuum. Mr. Martinez also met with technology committee to talk about the items. There's some new technology out there that is not on this list that we could consider in the future. But this would help us ensure that if we get all the tools to the students and the teachers, a very, very strong start. So, Mr. Aguilar, would you like to add from the teaching and learning, and then Mr. Martinez from the technology committee?
Yes, Dr. Canales. Good afternoon, everyone. So just to add a little bit on the discussion that we had with the teaching and learning committee. So to answer your question, Mr. Lopez, we did vet this out with the committee. We did have several layers of teachers, administrators. We had some instructional coaches that are from the technology field as well as our technology department, and they all provided the feedback. And this was through a process where we started off with different devices, softwares, and then narrowed it down to what we needed to get a strong start. And like Dr. Canales said, there's other items out there, but we want to make sure that one, we get the connectivity going by day one, and we get all this equipment and devices into teachers' hands and students' hands by day one, and then we build from there anything else that we need.
Okay, I have one more question.
Yes, sir.
Will all the elementary schools, all the high schools, and all the middle schools have equal distribution of the products that are coming in? in other words, to make sure that all our kids are getting taken care of, or by population, by student. But basically my concern is to make sure that all the schools get equal amount of everything that's coming in.
Yes, sir. So just to give you right now what the principals are currently working on, with your approval in the last board meeting, approving the hotspots, they're currently identifying those families in need, as we speak. They're getting those numbers finalized. We're going to work on getting that connectivity. We already have a lot of devices on campus. We're going to begin that distribution process. We just want to make sure that we schedule our distribution process where there's not so much disruption going on. So once we get an idea when we're going to be getting some of these items coming in, then we want to be able to distribute them accordingly and equitably to all families and all campuses.
Very important. Okay.
Yes.
One more comment, and this one will be for Andres. Andres, on the news, there's a talk of federal monies coming down to the school districts to aid in I guess it's this circumstance that we're going through right now. Have you got anything from TEA or anything from anybody in regards to that? And is there any information you can give us so that we can better prepare for if we need to buy more items?
No, we don't have information right now, Mr. Lopez, details on it. TA goes to it first, runs it through the state, the governor, the commission of education, anybody else, and then they let us know. Maybe they'll inform us today in the commission meeting with more details.
Yeah.
If you do get some information, please update the board so that we can be on top of that also.
Yeah.
And,
We'll definitely do that.
one question.
Okay, well, thank you guys, and thank you for making us number one and keeping us there. So keep up the good work.
All right, Dr. Canales, I know Mr. Aguilar mentioned the hotspots. Are we online to have enough hotspots for those students and parents that didn't have that opportunity or didn't have internet access like during the spring?
Yeah, we're close to it, Mr. Nieto. We believe with the 1,000 that were secured locally high school to share with the entire district prior and the 770 ordered, plus the fact that UT Early College High School and Weslaco High School already have theirs, that
Okay.
will be very, very close to it. We're going through the process of where we are going to be following up with parents to make sure our goal is day one, we're strong, everybody's connected, our teachers have what they need, our students have what they need, and we're moving on to create a remote experience for our students unlike any other in the state.
Okay.
So,
And along with what Mr. Lopez said, we're providing more than one computer per household if they have 3 students or 4 students that are attending our schools, correct?
yes, the information from our technology department is we have enough for 1-to-1, so it's not just one per family. It's if you have 3 children, here's 3, so that our children can get connected to our teachers. We know our teachers miss our students miss our teachers, our coaches, everybody. We want it to be as close to face-to-face as it can be, through this remote virtual world.
And that's good because a lot of times that was one of the concerns in the spring that if one item per household, it was difficult. Mr. Lopez, you had a comment?
Yes, this is for Carlos. Since we have all our devices out with our students, is there a number or some way that our students can, something that we can set up to where our students can call if they have technical difficulties, that they can call, talk to somebody and say, hey, look, I'm having trouble with this, and you can talk them through it the way you do me from time to time. I know kids are pretty sharp on computers, but every now and then they're going to need some help. And I think we should set something like that up unless it's already been done.
We do have a help desk, 969-6956, and that's right now it's available 7:30 to 6, and normal hours will be 8 to 5, so they can call us anytime on that, and we can walk them through anything. If they need to swap out equipment, we'll work through the campus to swap out the equipment, and we can help them that way.
My computer, when it powers up, it says WISD on it. Is there any way you can put WISD and then on the bottom say any technical issues, please call this number so that they have it there in case they need it? I'm on, Carlos.
If needed.
Okay, well, just make sure that our students know that there's somebody that can call, that we don't show up a month later and say, well, my computer wasn't working, so I didn't do anything.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Any
you.
other comments? Any other comments? All right, we have a motion by Mr. Kennedy, a second by Mr. Gonzalez to approve the purchases for technology equipment, supplies, and other items for online learning. All in favor, please say aye when I call your name. Mr. Kennedy?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Mr. Lopez?
Definitely aye.
Coach Cuellar?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, we will continue with emergency board meeting agenda, special emergency board meeting agenda. Item A, Superintendent's report, impact of Hurricane Hannah. Dr. Canales.
Okay, staff, we put together a slide similar to what we did from the floods of 2018 to just show some of the damage that we experienced as a result of Hurricane Hannah over the weekend. I am going to move to present mode.
Okay.
Mr. Nieto, are you seeing the screen with the presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
We had several district facilities impacted by Hurricane Hannah over the weekend. Rudy Silva Elementary School, Raul Gonzalez Elementary School, our maintenance department, our K-West department, and we had ceiling tile damage in most of the schools and some departments as a result of the heavy rains and the winds from Hurricane Hannah. Here's some pictures of Rudy Silva Elementary School, and you can see some water in the building as well as water surrounding the playground area. Staff, has been working really, really hard on clearing out the water from the building. It's unfortunate that this happened. Staff was proactive in setting up, sandbags around the areas, cleaning gutters around our schools. And, we'd moved the buses and everything. Our buses are fine and our fleets are fine, but some of our schools did have damage. So here's the pictures of what happened at Rudy Silva Elementary. And I have staff, online if you have any questions about the specifics regarding the damage at Rudy Silva Elementary.
Dr. Canales.
Yes, sir.
And I don't want to get off subject, Ivan, but maybe in the future, in our next meeting or whatnot, when I used to teach at Gonzalez, well, obviously Gonzalez and Silva back up into each other, their playground sets. But maybe it might be a good opportunity to make those also a water retention ponds. They have such big playgrounds in the back that maybe we can help alleviate some of the flooding to the schools and to the surrounding neighborhoods.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. We'll note that. So that's Rudy Silva Elementary School. Moving into Raul Gonzalez Elementary School, they are side by side. We had damage to this campus last summer, and you can see there's water in the building. And there was also the tiles that I mentioned earlier that were dampened by the rainfall. So we're addressing this one as well. The campus was surrounded by water. The city or the county helped with pumping water yesterday that alleviated, some of the water around the area. The maintenance department, here's some pictures of what transpired and the tile work just saturated from the water. We have the K-West department too. There's water on the floor at the K-West department. We've talked about the needs for that department before as well. And here's some other areas that were flooded. Our West Police High School athletic fields. You can see a lot of water on the fields, baseball and softball fields.
Dr. Canales, was there any damages to the fence
Maintenance.
at the baseball fields?
I'm sorry, Mr. Nieto, I didn't get that.
Was there any damages to the baseball fields, the fence in the outfield? Were there any damages with the wind or with the rain?
There seems to be a problem with one of them. Coach Riojas, would you like to add some details, or Mr. Sanchez, or our medical?
As we drove around, Mr. Neto, to check the facilities, even yesterday, we didn't notice any damages to any of the perimeter fence lines, even the outfield fences, which are the ones that are made out of the plywood. A couple years ago, we went into a 6x6 post. It's a more of a treated post, and we did that to all the fences. So they've been able to hold up a little bit better.
And how about at Weslaco High School? The same thing?
The same thing, sir. Yeah, I did not see anything that would catch my attention to say, oh gosh, we have a problem here. The fences look to be okay from what I been able to view. And I was at the stadium yesterday and driving through the facilities yesterday. Went to the tennis courts. I know our new windscreens are damaged, of course, but the fences are still erected. So that's I didn't see anything, sir, that would cause me to be worried about the baseball or softball fences, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rojas. Continue, Dr. Canales.
Thank you. So maintenance and transportation departments, we do have water again. As mentioned earlier, we had moved the fleet and the buses away from those areas. We do know that they're prone to flood. We experienced devastation in 2018 as a result of the June flood. The warehouse department, water did get in there. Our warehouse team, again, like all teams, a fabulous job of moving things on pallets. No equipment was harmed, and we have some expensive copiers and things housed there. So we were happy to see that. But again, there was water around the warehouse department. So that includes some of the devastation and that occurred because of Hurricane Hannah. And that concludes the superintendent's report.
Okay. Let the record reflect that Dr. Jaime joined the board meeting at 12:26. Any comments, Mr. Kennedy?
Thank you very much for the update. I appreciate it. I think your staff did a good job. Coach Rojas, good job. For the public who's maybe watching, Dr. Canales and her staff are keeping us abreast the entire weekend throughout the storm. I really appreciate that. I would just say do what you can with what we have for the moment and see what our insurance will cover. And you'll keep us abreast of all that information.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes, again, piggybacking on Patrick, thank you, Dr. Canales, and the rest of the staff with all the texts and emails keeping us updated. My only question is, with our new buildings that just got built, we're within a year of completion. Just verify that we didn't have any water leaks or stuff of that nature that might be construction related as opposed to wind related, just so that we are on top of it, so that down the road we don't have to go back and say, well, we didn't catch it or the contractor messed up. And not to put blame on anyone, but because they're brand new, we shouldn't have any leaks other than if we lost roofing material up there. But again, thank you so very much for your hard work, Dr. Canales, and the rest of your staff. Really do appreciate it.
Mr. Lopez, any comments?
And an update would be great on all the damages that we had, all the roof leaks, just to make sure that we're assessing our roofs and taking care of those issues for that.
Yeah, if I may add, the Board of Trustees, our principals also went out Sunday, looked at their buildings, did an assessment. We do have some with lots of leaks, and it appears that every time it rains, it's just getting worse and worse. So just to add that, and they are providing and continuing to provide us information. They're sending pictures to all of us about what they're finding. We're focusing on safety and security first. So, kudos to our administrators, the entire team. Everybody was out on Sunday as soon as could be, assessing the damage.
Coach Cuellar, any comments?
I too am appreciative of the information that we get, the updates and so forth, and the work that everybody's putting in there to ensure that we're taking care of our investments. And I've noticed that some of those ceilings, had the tile collapse and so forth, and I was there for many years, and there were areas and certain offices that continuously would leak, and people go in there and replace some of the insulation tile, but the leaks were still there. So what are we going to do to put an end to this if possible?
Dr. Canales?
Yes, hold on one second. I'm not on mute, correct?
No, you're on.
Yes, Mr. Webb, that's something that we can work on as a team. I know that Oscar Riojas and Americo Garza and the whole team, is looking at ways to possibly resolve that. It is concerning that every time we have heavy rains, we have leaks happening. And sometimes it's in the, it's in the same buildings, maybe not necessarily the same place. We do know that we've been addressing roofs at campuses for a couple of years now. When I got here, there was a facilities committee that had already identified it's been a while since we've replaced our roofs and that there was a need for it. And we do have our priority of campuses. So we will continue to meet with the facilities committee and take a look at that. In the meantime, I'll open this up to Mr. Garza or Mr. Riojas to add about some of the things that we may be considering to address what you just said, that it's the same areas over and over and we patch it and, it still happens.
Yes.
So Mr. Riojas and or Mr. Garza.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Canales. Coach Cuellar, that's a very important observation, sir. And that is what we are, Americo and I and Jessica Rio, we discuss very frequently, especially during these times. One of the things that we do notice, Coach, is a lot of the constant leaks are where the buildings connect, where the roof on top, where the buildings connect. There are a lot of those connections up there, whether they're additions or whatever the case may be. There's a lot of leaks that are continuously coming through there. Also, a lot of the new campuses have these atrium roof looking devices on top, and where that atrium connects to the building also causes a lot of water intrusion, some intrusions there. So we want to look at that as well to see what we can do to remedy that situation. Obviously we're in the process of revamping or rebuilding the roofs at Memorial, Northbridge, and Transition Center. It was weird because when I visited Memorial yesterday, some of the rooms that are constantly leaking didn't leak this time, and some of the areas, and this is Memorial, of course, where we're rebuilding it. And of course, the company has already started, sweeping the roof, moving the gravel around, prepping the building for the renovation of the roof. So, thinking out loud is thinking, well, maybe they push the gravel over to the north end of the building where they're probably going to start working. And so that gravel might have been piled up just in the right position to where water to those rooms did not make it into those rooms like they normally do. So we are studying those constant leaks, sir. Because yes, you're right. It's not as simple as just replacing ceiling tiles. We have to figure out, what is the cause of the water getting in. We do have a list of roof repairs or roof complete repairs that we need to do. Next on the list is Kleckler Held, which also suffers quite a bit of roof leaking. Rico Elementary is another one. This building here at Central Office is another one. So we do have a list, Coach, of and we know where our problems are and where we need to, I guess where our problem children are when it comes to roof leaks, because we know exactly where we need to target. Yes, sir.
And along those lines, knowing that we have those existing problems, are we doing anything in terms of preventive measures to rearrange furniture so that furniture doesn't get destroyed and we're having to replace those things repeatedly?
Actually, Coach Cuellar, most principals at each school, being a former principal like the Wesco High School, you know the areas that leak. And so if you know that there's going to be a thunderstorm or a hurricane coming, you prevent that by moving that the desk or whatever and put a trash can if you have the time. You know, most principals know their building. It's like the people that work here in personnel or here in a central office. They know what areas leak. So if they know that an area leaks, they're going to prevent from moving the furniture so that way it won't get damaged. Mr. Lopez, you had a question or a comment?
Comment. Coach Rojas, I know that we have a architectural firm under contract, I believe, for the roof of all the roofs on our district. Can you make sure that you provide them this information? That way they have good information to work with going forward and maybe update their files or whatever.
Absolutely, sir. Yeah, we are, like Dr. Canales mentioned, one of the things that that's been really helpful is our principals have all been sending us pictures of all their buildings and the roof leaks that they have encountered. Also, we had our custodians also help, when they arrived yesterday morning. But the principals have been extremely helpful and their assistant principals. So we're compiling that list, Mr. Lopez. We have a file, Jesse and I, in a medical. We have a file of all the pictures of all the classrooms, buildings, lists of every single building. And if you look at previous heavy rains that we've had, it's the same ones pretty much. It's pretty much the same areas. So we're starting to see a trend of where the constant or consistent leaks are coming from. Yeah.
Okay. And Dr. Canales, the good thing is that we won't have any students formally until September 27th. So that gives us a little bit more time also to work on those roofs. Yes. And of course, Mr. Sanchez will have to provide that additional money that we need to repair those roofs before students come in.
Yep.
Correct.
Any other comments? Thank you for the report.
Just one more, sorry.
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez.
Dr. Canales, can you just make sure that when we're replacing those roof tiles, since we don't have the students coming back to late September, let's make sure that it's dried off completely. We're just hitting the peak of hurricane season. And that's how good to replace those roof tiles at this point in time. In case there's another rain event, they're just going to soak up again and we're going to have to replace them again. So if we can just make sure that they're properly dried, and let's just wait to the last minute to replace the roof tiles in the rooms that need to be replaced.
Good points, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
All right, any other comments? All right, we'll continue with item B. Discussion possible action to approve or ratify procurement of materials, labor, and other services as needed for the immediate repair of Wesco Independent School District facilities or equipment damage as a result of Hurricane Hannah in Wesco, Texas, on or about July 25th and 26th, 2020, and thereafter under the authority of Texas Education Code, Section 44.031H. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, we shared some of the damage that we experienced across our district because of Hurricane Hannah. When, as indicated, we'll need to repair facilities, repair, replace equipment, and perhaps other items that we haven't detected yet. So due to the emergency situation that we face, we are asking to be able to procure goods and services needed without following the normal procurement methods prescribed by law. And for facilities, equipment, and damage and services needed, like the cooling house district-wide, the dehumidification of Elementary, Gonzalez Elementary Schools, and K West, and dehumidification and repairs at the maintenance department. So we're recommending that you approve and ratify procurement of materials, labor, and other services as needed for the immediate repairs of Weslaco ISD's facilities and our equipment damaged as a result of Hurricane Hannah on July 25th into the morning of July 26th, and ensuring therefore under the authority of Texas Education Code 44.031H. We will keep you informed. We do have the board update, and we will continue to keep you informed about things that we have to address if you approve and ratify the procurement of materials, labor, and other services as needed.
Can I entertain a motion?
Can I ask the question first, or you want to go with the motion first?
Okay, go ahead.
Dr. Canales, when we approve this now, how much are we talking about? Is there any idea? I know that it's impossible to be able to tell, but are we approving, emergency roof repairs on schools? Because we already have architects and I believe contractors working. So are we going to just allow to pull the trigger on that, or is that going to be something that has to be approved by the board?
Right. Well, this is asking for us to be able to do it. I mean, there's some things that we believe we're going to be able to handle internally. There's some that maybe we haven't detected that we may need to seek the services of others beyond the school district. I don't have a current amount of all the costs that we've anticipated at this point in time. I do know that staff is really good about getting the costs, and us, we are committed to communicating with the Board of Trustees for items that we will address or that we have to address externally. So,
Let's make it easier. Let me ask you a question. We've already talked about several roofs that need big repairs. Will this allow you to hire a contractor, just go with a contractor, hire a contractor to re-roof a school, or are we going to approve a patch job?
This particular agenda item is only approval of any bids that we've already received, quotes that we've received, or any work that's already been initiated. The questions you're asking about relate to the next agenda item.
All right. Sorry about that.
Okay. So do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
We have a motion and a second by Mr. Gonzalez to approve and ratify procurement of materials, labor, and other services as needed for the immediate repairs of Weslaco ISD facilities and/or equipment damage as a result of Hannah on July 25th and 26th. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye. Mr. Kennedy?
Aye.
Dr. Jaime?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Mr. Lopez?
Aye.
And Coach Cuellar?
All right.
Motion carries. We'll continue. Item C, discussion possible action delegate to the superintendent the authority to contract for the replacement, construction, or repair of school equipment or facilities as a result of Hurricane Hannah, which require emergency replacement construction or repair necessary for the health and safety of district students and staff as permitted by Texas Education Code 44.0312C. Dr. Canales.
Okay, Board Trustees, again, due to Hurricane Hannah and the damage caused, we will need to repair facilities, replace or repair equipment, and other items that we haven't detected yet. So your approval of the delegation to the superintendent, the authority to contract for the replacement, construction, or repair of school equipment or facilities will eliminate the need for us to call a special called board meeting later on for approval of such contracts and awards. So this, Mr. Bettis, alluded to, this refers to the questions that Mr. Lopez was asking earlier. We are recommending that you approve to delegate to the superintendent the authority to contract for the replacement, construction of repair of school equipment or facilities as a result of Hurricane Hannah, which require emergency replacement, construction, and repair necessary for the health and safety of the district, our students, and our staff.
Access your account information.
That wasn't me, that ending.
Okay.
So we're here, staff is here to answer any questions you may have about this one. Again, we believe in keeping everybody informed and about costs and timelines. So we're here to answer any questions you may have.
Would this motion, if approved, basically hand the administration a blank check to take care of all these problems, or is there a limit on it?
You can place any restrictions or limitations that you wish. So if you want to implement a dollar amount limitation, you can. So at this point, it's up to the board on how you'd like to delegate this responsibility.
Mr. Lopez, you that are involved with construction, and of course, being a former board president, what would you recommend?
I would recommend repair. Approve 100% of any repair that needs to be done.
Okay.
Any new construction, as far as replacement of an entire roof, needs to be brought back to the board and through proper bidding procedures. And other than that, I think that would take care of everything.
Okay.
So are you asking, like, your preference is like get us back to status quo, but nothing more than that?
I'm saying you can repair or allowing the superintendent to do any repairs that are necessary to protect the investment of our taxpayers. Yet if it gets to the point where an entire roof or of the such construction is needed towards a big dollar amount, it needs to be brought back to the board. And
I agree.
I can get on board with that.
What's that, Mr. Kennedy?
I agree with that.
Okay, so let's entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Well, I think you need to stipulate what you just said.
Well, okay, I make a motion to approve the superintendent to make any expense needed to repair any of our school buildings and to maintain the safety of our property and to protect the investment of our taxpayers as needed, and to require or to, if any roofing or big expense is required, to bring it back to the board.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Lopez and a second by Coach Cuellar to delegate to the superintendent the authority to contract for replacement, construction, or repair of school equipment or facilities as a result of Hurricane Hannah, which require emergency replacement, construction, or repair necessary, as Mr. Lopez mentioned in his statement. Any other discussion?
Dr. Canales, real quick. Dr. Canales, Coach has a lot of these, or some of these repairs can be done in-house. Is that correct? Is that the first option for a lot of these repairs?
Yes, sir. A lot of the repairs, Dr. Rodriguez, good question. A lot of the repairs, we have a very skilled group of men and ladies working on our departments, and so a lot of it is, of course, replacing of ceiling tiles. We do have some areas, like we mentioned, Silva and Gonzalez, that will require some type of remediation. But as we are looking and walking through these buildings, right now we're not seeing any major demolition, rebuilding. It's mainly just moisture readings throughout the buildings to give us quality of air, moisture removal of the buildings, placing fans, that kind of stuff is what we're talking about, with the exception of the maintenance department. That one did have considerable amount of water that did get in through the roof. That one's going to require probably sealing. It's going to require we're going to require sealing. We're going to carpet, grid, drywall, maybe some drywall. ¿Qué más? Insulation, shingles. That's going to be the building, or that's going to require a little more work. But again, it's not as much as I guess what I'm trying to say is we're very blessed. The damage was very minimal, right, as we've been detecting right now, Mr. Rodriguez. Dr. Rodriguez.
Okay. Mr. Lopez. Mr. Lopez.
Dr. Canales, has our insurance companies been informed, and the remediation normally is done by the insurance company? Is that going to be the instance here?
Yes, Coach Rios, would you like to?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Mr. Lopez, good question. Mr. La Rosa and I, Mr. La Rosa is on. Mr. La Rosa and I, we drove on Sunday, visited. He made calls immediately, and the remediation company was here and did the walkthroughs yesterday. Mike, you want to chime in?
Yes, Mr. Lopez, to answer your first question, we have put the carrier on notice of a claim. As far as the remediation company, we select the remediation company. They come down and take care of the work, and then hopefully, as Coach Yojas mentioned, the damage compared to 2018 flooding we're nowhere near where that was. So we'll file the claim and we'll see if we'll even hit our deductible on this hurricane.
Okay. And like Mr. Lopez mentioned, if there's a major repair that we have to do, then we can call an emergency board meeting. So if it's a major purchase, like Mr. Kennedy was questioning there, if it's a major purchase that we have to put in quite an amount of money, then we can have an emergency board meeting to approve that. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we have a motion by Mr. Lopez and a second by Coach Cuellar. All in favor, please say aye. Mr. Kennedy?
Aye.
Dr. Jaime?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Mr. Lopez?
Aye.
Mr. Cuellar?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
before,
Mr. Lopez.
and I guess Mr. Perez also, I want to make one comment on the first item that we approved, and I don't know what time I can, and if I'm allowed to.
Mr. Perez, can he make a comment on the item we approved already?
Clarification.
On the purchase of the technology equipment?
Yes, just a clarification.
Clarification only? Mr. Perez?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to call that agenda item back, you can, so that you're appropriately discussing it under that item.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll call the discussion and possible action on the approval of purchase of technology. Mr. Lopez, comment?
Yes. My comment, Dr. Canales and Carlos, is I think that when I first said that each school get equal amounts of technology, I meant, and I think that we should do it, every student get the equal amount of technology, since we have some schools that are bigger, more students, and some schools are smaller, less students. It only makes sense that it should be by a per student instead of a by school handout on the items.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
That's all.
Lopez.
And thank you for allowing me to revisit that item.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. All right.
Thank you.
We continue on with the meeting. It is 12:00, and we will be going into closed meeting to discuss the following: personnel matters, employment of personnel, resignations. Item 3, deliberation regarding the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of public officer. Item B, deliberation regarding acquisition of real property. Item C, consultation with attorney regarding or contemplated litigation, a settlement offer, a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the Weslaco ISD under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code 551.071. Number 1, discussion regarding legal issues in connection with COVID-19 and planning for 2020-2021 school year. It is 12:52, and we will go into closed meeting. So log off of this one and log on into the closed meeting, correct, Mr. Perez?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, we're back in the reconvene an open meeting. It is 2:30. Let the record reflect that Dr. Jaime left the meeting at 1:27, and also Mr. Kennedy left the meeting at 1:33. Item A, personnel matters, employment of personnel, no action, correct?
Yes.
Okay, resignations.
Board of Trustees, I recommend that you approve the resignation as discussed in closed session.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Lopez, to approve resignations as decided in executive session. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, Mr. Only four. All right, motion carries. Item B, deliberation regarding acquisition of real property. Any action there?
No action.
No action, okay. Item C, consultation with attorney regarding pending or contemplated litigation. Item 1, Discussion regarding legal issues in connection with COVID-19 and planning for 2020-2021 school year. Dr. Canales? No action?
No action.
Okay. That's adjournment.
So moved.
So moved.
And it is 2:31. Thank you, gentlemen. And anything else, Dr. Canales?
No, that's it. Everybody stay safe and healthy. Wear your masks and 6 feet apart from everybody else. We care about you and want to come back to normalcy as soon as possible. All right. We appreciate you. Thank you so much, everybody.
All right.
Board.
See.